information. So he devised water crystal photography to prove his theory. It succeeded. Water crystal photography shows that water reacts to any information vibration by showing different designs. If the two forks are tuned to the same note, then they resonate together. This is how energy is transmitted into two vibrating objects of the same natural frequency. Two forks that are slightly tuned to different frequencies. Despite they are 2 hertz differences, and they're not conducting or resonating with each other. Nikola Tesla once said, "If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." In this video, we will talk about what is the power of vibration, its use in ancient civilizations and the modern world, and how it can impact human health, behavior, and the entire universe. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel to see our latest content. Without further ado, let's begin the video. The secrets of the universe are based on energy, frequency, and vibration. The somatic patterns we can form using the same vibrations must mimic a universal process and continuously unfold throughout the universe. The law of vibration states that anything that exists in our universe, whether seen or unseen, broken down into and analyzed in its purest and most basic form, consists of pure energy or light, which resonates and exists as a vibratory frequency or pattern. Science has found that energy vibrates in different frequencies when breaking down all matter. In addition to everything vibrating, all matter that seems solid, liquid, or gas is empty space. The electrons, protons, and neutrons in the atom are in constant motion. Although modern scientists are opening new research doors on energy, frequency, and vibration, ancient civilizations were well aware of it. Words carry energy, and the intention behind the words conveys the vibration. Not that using any old word is all fine, but the energy you put behind a word will carry the meaning more deeply. Every molecule or atom in this universe vibrates at a particular frequency. A molecule in free space can vibrate because the atoms which make up the molecule can move in different directions relative to the position of the whole molecule. Atoms and molecules have energy, even at 0 Kelvin. This energy causes them to vibrate, among other things. Interactions between various components of the molecules, like nuclear repulsion, nuclear attraction, and electron repulsion, determine their motion. Each component has a finite amount of energy associated with it. Once you know the resonance frequency, you can amplify its waves to such a higher level that it will break or destroy the object. The power of vibration can be analyzed through cymatics, with just a vibrating plate forming patterns relative to the plate's geometry and the frequency of the vibrations. By changing the vibrations, these patterns change from unregulated chaos into symmetry. The universe is formed by light in the form of photon variations, with the absorption and emission of photon energy. Even without adding sound vibrations, the vibrations are always present in the form of photon oscillations, with a future unfolding with each new photon-electron coupling. It's because the universe is never at absolute zero. In the 1920s, an American scientist named Dr. Royal Raymond Rife developed a Rife frequency generator machine. The Rife machine produced low energy waves. These waves are also called radio frequency electromagnetic fields. They have low energy compared to X-rays or radiotherapy, which have high power. Today, using low energy waves as a treatment is less common, but there is some research on it. Dr. Rife experimented by introducing the BX virus into rats, which caused the rats to develop tumors. He was able to eliminate the tumors by exposing them to their MOR via his ray beam device. In 1934, a USC team of physicians led by Dr. Johnson transferred 16 terminally ill patients from a San Diego hospital to the Scripps estate in La Jolla, California. Here, they were subjected to the frequencies recommended by Dr. Rife for 90 days. Within 70 days, the USC team declared 14 patients clinically cured. The other 2 took 20 days longer. Associate professor and director of music at Skidmore College, Anthony Holland, a composer interested in the physical effects of sound, decided to learn the impact of audio frequencies in microbiology. Holland and his team searched for the exact frequency that would directly shatter a living microorganism. The magic number finally came from 2 inputs: high high frequency had to be exactly 11 times higher than the low, which in music is known as the 11th harmonic. At this 11th harmonic, microorganisms begin to shatter like crystal glass.
If I tap this fork, putting little pulses of energy into it, the second fork will also vibrate in sympathy. And if I silence this fork, we just may hear the other singing its tone. We say that I'm inducing a sympathetic resonant vibration in the second fork. It only works because both forks are tuned to the exact same frequency.
After practicing until they got efficient at the procedure, Holland began working with a team of cancer researchers to destroy targeted cancer cells. First, they looked at pancreatic cancer cells, eventually discovering these cells were specifically vulnerable between 100,000 and 300,000 hertz.
This results in an invitation to spend 4 months in a cancer research lab trying to shatter cancer cells. This is our setup in the lab. You can see the microscope with cancer cells on it. Here's the plasma tube, and here's my little frequency control box. So first we attack pancreatic cancer. Take a good look at this slide, because the next one will look quite different.
In repeated and controlled experiments, the frequencies, known as oscillating pulsed electric field technology, killed an average of 25 to 40% of leukemia cells, going as high as 60% in some cases. Furthermore, the intervention even slowed cancer cell growth rates by up to 65%. The team also found success in attacking ovarian cancer cells. Most recently, they tested the treatment against the deadly superbug MRSA, an organism resistant to many common antibiotics. Holland explains that thousands of people die yearly from MRSA, and the drugs usually used against the pathogen are known to have toxic side effects. Incredibly, the frequency therapy eliminated antibiotic resistance, and researchers were able to introduce a small number of antibiotics to kill the bug.
Shamans use a variety of instruments and rituals to heal. Aeseros is a sacred song sung by the doctor to the patient in order to stimulate the patient's natural well-being and health. Ayahuasca practitioners also use this song in spiritual practices.
In ancient civilizations, shamans sang a sacred song, Aseros, to heal their patients. Aseros is also used in spiritual practices with ayahuasca. Ayahuasca is a psychoactive ethnobotanical concoction used for decades by indigenous groups of the northwestern Amazon and syncretic religious organizations for ritual and therapeutic purposes.
As well as using this knowledge for healing, the ancients also carved and levitated heavy stones and objects in order to build multi-story megalithic structures using sound, vibrations, and frequencies. A device that could be tuned to a specific frequency is believed to have allowed Egyptians to cut massive stone with the ease of cutting butter.
Ancients used sound vibrations and frequencies to carve and levitate heavy stones and objects. Research indicates that Egyptians had some device that could be tuned to a specific frequency, and with it, they could cut massive stones. One of the shreds of evidence of these devices is the Al-Nasla rock formation found in Saudi Arabia. 2 6-meter-high boulders, 20 feet high, stand atop their pedestals, separated by a perfectly smooth crack. It looks like it's been cut in half by a laser beam. One geologist says that the split could have been caused by freeze-thaw weathering, but others say the split is too precise and smooth to have natural causes. It's speculated that the formation is evidence of early high technology. A Swedish Dr. Jarl studied at Oxford. During those times, he became friends with a young Tibetan student. A couple of years later, it was 1939, and Dr. Jarl made a journey to Egypt for the English Scientific Society. There, he was seen by a messenger of his Tibetan friend and urgently requested to come to Tibet to treat a lama. Dr. Jarl stayed there for some time, and because of his friendship, he learned a lot about the Tibetans. One day, his friend took him to a place in the neighborhood of the monastery. and showed him a sloping meadow in the northwest by high cliffs.
A big hole was visible in one of the rock walls at a height of about 250 meters. Monks built a rock wall on a platform in front of this hole. By using ropes, the monks lowered themselves from the top of the cliff to this platform. There was a polished slab of rock in the middle of the meadow, about 250 meters from the cliff. The bowl had a diameter of 1 meter and a depth of 15 centimeters. Using yak oxen, a block of stone was maneuvered into the cavity. The block measured 1 meter wide by 1.5 meters long. Then, 19 musical instruments were set in an arc of 90 degrees at 63 meters from the stone slab. The radius of 63 meters was measured accurately. There were 13 drums and 6 trumpets among the musical instruments. 8 drums had a cross-section of 1 meter and a length of 1.5 meters.
All the drums were open at one end, while the other had a metal bottom, on which the monks beat with big leather clubs. The monk behind the small drum signaled to start the concert when the stone was in position. The small drum was very sharp, and could be heard even with the other instruments making a terrible din. All the monks were singing and chanting a prayer, slowly increasing the tempo of this unbelievable noise. During the first 4 minutes, nothing happened. Then, as the speed of the drumming and the noise increased, the big stone block started to rock and sway. And suddenly it took off into the air with an increasing speed in the direction of the platform in front of the cave hole, 250 meters high. After 3 minutes of ascent, it landed on the platform. The monks used this method to transport 5 to 6 blocks per hour on a parabolic flight track, approximately 500 meters long and 250 meters high. From time to time, a stone split, and the monks moved the split stones away. Dr. Jarl was the first foreigner who had the opportunity to see this remarkable spectacle. Because he had the opinion in the beginning that he was the victim of mass psychosis, he made 2 films of the incident. The films showed the same things that he had witnessed. The English Society for which Dr. Jarl was working confiscated the 2 films and declared them classified. This action is rather hard to explain or understand. Monks used musical instruments to levitate the stones from their place. The harmonic tuning of the drums and trumpets with the loud chanting of the priests added to the combined effects, created an anti-gravitational effect, and jolted the heavy rocks. Abdul Hassan Ali al-Masudi, an Arab historian from the 10th century AD, wrote about ancient Egypt and the methods he alleges they used to move massive stones, including those used to build the pyramids. He claimed that a magic papyrus imprinted with symbols was placed under each rock, after which a metal rod was struck against the stone to initiate the levitation process. According to al-Masudi, the stone would be guided along a fenced path with metal poles. Some believe these poles could have been used to create high-frequency sound vibrations, which would have been responsible for creating the levitation effects. Outside of this written testimony, which is open to interpretation, there is no direct evidence to suggest the pyramids were constructed by acoustic levitation, but the Great Pyramid of Giza possesses some extraordinary acoustic properties, demonstrating the capacity to amplify sounds generated at specific frequencies dramatically. The Egyptians who built the pyramids on the Giza Plateau knew a lot about sound, and knew how it could be used to produce powerful effects, possibly including levitation. In 2015, a device built by a team in Spain successfully levitated and manipulated small objects with sound. Here's an interesting old video of an acoustic levitation device by Dr. David Deek. Scientists already knew that sound waves create oscillating pockets of pressurized air, which can produce a force on an object capable of counteracting the pull of gravity. But while ultrasound levitation devices do exist, they all rely on standing waves, created when 2 sound waves of the same frequency are emitted from opposite directions and superimposed on one another. That means all previous devices require 2 sets of transducers. In 1987, Dr. David Deek designed and built an acoustic levitation. and did a microgravity experiment for NASA-related subject matter. The 12-inch cubed plexiglass Helmholtz resonant cavity has 3 speakers attached to the cube by aluminum acoustic waveguides. By applying a continuous resonant 600 Hz sound wave and adjusting the amplitude and phase relationship amongst the 3 speakers, he could control levitation and movement in all 3 axes of the ambient space. The research was used to show the effects of microgravity conditions in orbit in the space shuttle environment. In addition, there is evidence for a whole new type of medicine in which DNA can be influenced and reprogrammed by words and frequencies without cutting out and replacing single genes. Gurdjieff and his team successfully transformed frog embryos to salamander embryos simply by transmitting the DNA information pattern through frequency alone. Gurdjieff's research group proved that with this method, chromosomes damaged by X-rays, for example, can be repaired. They even captured information patterns of a particular DNA and transmitted it to another, thus reprogramming cells to another genome. So they successfully transformed, for example, frog embryos into salamander embryos simply by transmitting the DNA information patterns. According to Russian researchers, our DNA is not only responsible for the construction of our body, but also serves as data storage and communication. The Russian linguists found that the genetic code, especially in the useless 90%, follows the same rules as all our human languages. To this end, they compared the rules of syntax, semantics, and the basic rules of grammar. They found that the alkalines of our DNA follow regular grammar and have set rules just like our languages. So human languages did not appear coincidentally, but are a reflection of our inherent DNA. Dr. Lee Bartel, a professor emeritus of music and health and music education, is a leading researcher and expert on how our cells are affected by sound. He explores how sound can stimulate cells in your body and brain to reduce the impact of fibromyalgia pain, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, and depression, and even increase blood flow. A common consumer vibroacoustic device is used to treat these health conditions. Researchers found that they could document brain cells firing at the frequency of the stimulus. Therefore, they could use a stimulus to bring about desired brain states, like delta sleep, which measures about 40 hertz.
Many years after I started doing this, I discovered that I could just use a single pitch, like this. 40 hertz, remember this sound. Very low, it's like low E in the piano. But with this, I found I could help people reduce their pain and even reduce Alzheimer's symptoms.
Dr. Bartel and fellow researchers found that when blood vessels were exposed to certain stimulus rates, the vessels would repeat that rate, which had implications for more medical conditions. He explains how these stimulus pulses affect multiple levels of bodily functions and brain patterns, even to the point of intra-brain communication, helping one side of the brain synchronize with the other. Such neuroscience music therapy was shown to help kids who had gone through cancer treatments help renew gamma activity. Research has proven that various music therapy treats sleep disorders. He notes that typical sleep studies focus less on oxygen levels and brain cell frequency. Not only did it improve sleep, but it also alleviated pain in fibromyalgia patients. They used a pulse stimulus of 40 hertz and saw a dramatic change in sleep, pain, depression, and quality of life ratings for these patients. The implications are substantial. We can re-regulate brain circuits and cellular function rather than just brain states.
When you encounter a click, like this, what's happening is that compressions of air molecules are coming to your ear, and your ear is translating that into an electric impulse and sending it to your brain something like this. So it goes up the nerve and into the neuron, except it's not just one neuron, it's probably...
Hello?
Hey, what's up?
No, shit. Had this call from you.
Oh, that was way. I don't even remember now, bro.
Oh hell, I just now looked at my phone. We got done fucking with that well a little bit ago and fucking, I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I don't know, I'm just fucking tired. I'm ready to take a fucking shower. But the hot water heater got unplugged, so now I gotta wait on that motherfucker to heat up. And by then it's gonna
It
be
should be
fucking hot.
full. It should be full of water though.
Yeah, but it's gotta fucking, yeah! Oh,
Uh,
man, earlier, man, when I was like, damn, I don't even know if I'll make it on gas. When I pulled over there by the rig, my truck died as soon as I got over there by there. I'm glad I
Yeah,
didn't.
I'm glad you didn't too and shit. No, you're
What?
right. I said, here, I'll let you go.
I was just gonna call and see what he's doing.
Kick back. Kind of feel like shit.
Oh man, me too, man. We ate some chicken. I ate some chicken and fucking went back out there and went to work, dude. About fucking threw that shit up.
I bet.
Fuck,
Fuck that.
man. But all right. I'll see you after a while.
I'll see you in a little bit. You can come down here if you want.
All right.
Bet.
All right. Bye.
Thousands or millions of neurons that are responding right to that click. Just a bit of information here. When we have one click coming to our ear, we call it 1 hertz, the measure per how many per second.